Hello guys, welcome to Selenium tutorial. This is Prakash Narkade from automationtalks.com, and today I am here with a video, one of the video of Selenium tutorial, which is the most important video in data driven framework. So in this video I'll talk about how to use map, that is Hashmap, with TestNG Dataprovider for data driven testing in Selenium WebDriver. So in my earlier videos I talked about what is data driven testing in Selenium WebDriver. So for my videos and a detailed article you can go to automationtalks.com. So here you can find software testing tutorials, Selenium tutorials, Tosca, Jenkins, and guest articles, right? So there's data driven testing you can find in Selenium WebDriver, and here at the bottom you can find automation framework, right? And here it is data driven test automation framework, right? So here I have explained a test automation a data driven framework, but in this framework I have used again a data provider, but by using an object array. I'll just show you. So here I have used an array of object, right? In this case, in today's video what I'll show you how we can use map. I'll show you what is the importance of using map or hash map over this object array, right? So first let us talk about what is map or hash map. Again, for this map or hash map I have written a detailed article. You can find it over here under tips and tricks, how to use map or hash map. So you can find a detailed article over here. I'll take you through the same today, right? So what is map or hash map? Okay, so in this article I'll talk about how to use map, that is Hashmap, with TestNG Dataprovider for data driven testing in Selenium WebDriver. Before to this, let us understand little more about map. Now what is map in Java? As I have explained it in this by using this image, so I'll explain you from the image as well, but let us understand what is map first. So map is an interface in Java which can implement various classes in Java like Hashmap, hashtable, and many other. Now you should know basic concept about interface first. What is interface? So interface is nothing but it is just a set of what I can say classes, where you cannot say the actual classes, actual methods within it, right? So you need to implement the method from the interface based on your need, right? So map is an interface which can implement various classes like hash map. So I've said we will use map and hash map. So this map is nothing but it is the interface, and this hash map is the class. So what we're doing is we are implementing hash map from the map interface, right? So and this map or hash map is the part of collection frameworks which are used to handle, that is store the data, right? So this map or hash map is the interface, hash map is its implementation, is used to store and retrieve the data. So in today's article what we are doing, we will be reading the data from the Excel sheet, we will be storing it into the hash map, and then we will be using it for our test case to achieve a data driven test case. So in map what happen is map interface represents the mapping between key and values, right? So here you can see in this image I have shown something as a key and value, right? So we define the map like map is equal to new hash map. So once the map is defined, if you want to insert some value into the map, then that is done by using map.put, and it should be stored in key value pair, right? So I'll take you through this example. So just try to understand how to define a map is equal to new hash map, and how to put value by using a put method, right? So it is stored in the form of key value pair. Now let us understand it with example. Okay, and one more thing is, if you want to get the value from the map, then you can use the method map.get and the key by using which the value is stored, right? So let me show you one Excel test data sheet. Okay, so in this Excel data sheet you can see, let us say I have some test case where I want to pass username, password and date of birth for logging into some application. Let us say I am automating login page, and I am using various possible combinations, various possible data combinations, right? So instead of writing all test case for all data, what I'll do, I'll write one generic test case and I'll pass data from this spreadsheet. Like so, if once I wrote the test case, I can pass number of data combination as ever I want, right? So let us say I'm automating a login page where I want to pass username, password and date of birth. Now in case of object array, as I have shown you in my earlier video of data driven testing, in case of object array, what happens is, uh, the data is stored in object array or string array or whatever type of your data is, it is stored in the array, right? But in case of map, the data is stored into a map in the form of keys and values. So the keys and values combination would be like in the first case, your value will be stored as username is equal to user1, right? For second case, again it will be stored as username is equal to user2. In the similar way, for third case it will be stored as username is equal to user3. So it will be stored in the form of key, this is the key and this is the value. So for each record, for each row, your values will be different, key will be same, right? So remember that in case of map, the key value should be unique, right? Key should be unique and it should hold a unique value. So how do we perform the data driven testing in this, uh, by using this Hashmap? Let us talk about this. So I hope you are clear about this Excel sheet. What you are doing, I am reading the data from the Excel sheet. First I'll read row 1, I'll pass this to my test case. Second I'll read this row, and next I'll read this row, and I'll pass these three combinations of the data. So sorry, I will create one test case and I will pass these three set of data, so it will convert my one test case into a three test cases. So I'll close this now and I'll go to my Eclipse and let me create one class map with data provider. Fine. So I'll create couple of methods over here. Public void test, here I'll write my test case, and another method for data provider, public void data provider class method, and right, so this is my test case. So for test case I should use @test annotation, right? And this is my data provider, so I should use a data provider annotation, right? And if I want to pass the data from this data provider to this test case, then I should give some name to this data provider, as let us say I'm giving name as test data 1, and this particular test case should access the same data provider by using data provider is equal to test data 1, right? So this is how it will come to know, okay, my data provider has a name is equal to this particular test case require the data from data provider test data 1, that is this, right? So that is how it will identify from which data provider test case has to pick the data. So you can have multiple data providers in a one class. With the name it will identify, test will identify from which data provider it has to take the data, right? So now very first thing is you want to read this Excel spreadsheet, right? So let us get path of this Excel spreadsheet. So it is in my C drive desktop. Right, so let us get the path string. File path is equal to slash testdata.xlsx. Fine. Now let us create the object of file. File is equal to new file at file path is this. Right, so you have created a object of the file path. Now let us create a file input stream because you want to read an external file. File input stream FIS is equal to new file input stream, and it should take a data from file. Now you are set with file input stream. Let us add exception. I'll throw an exception, generic exception, right? So you are done with file input stream. Now you have created a stream. Now you want to read the Excel. First you need to read your Excel workbook. So XSF workbook WB is equal to new XSF workbook, right? And it should read it from file input stream. Then next one is, what you want to do is you want to read a sheet. XSSF sheet is equal to workbook dot get sheet at index 0 because this is my first sheet. If you are not sure with test sheet, and if you know the test sheet name, then first you need to get the index and then you need to use that index. Now you got the sheet. Now what we'll do is we will identify row count and column count. Row count is equal to and column count is equal to, right? So how to identify row count? Row count can be identified by using sheet dot get last row num, right? This is how I'll get a row count. And in order to get the column count, how will get that? Sheet dot get row, so let us say 0th row, and get last cell number. This is how I'll get a column count. Fine. Now I have got row count and column count. So in this test data sheet I have 0, 1, 2, 3 rows and 0, 1, 2, 2 columns because the index starts from 0, right? So now what you need to do is you need to first define a map and then define a object array, right? Because this data provider should return an object array of 2D, right? It shouldn't be void. Note that it should return an object array, right? So it should have some return, and we'll talk about what should it return. It should return an object array. Let us see how we can write an object array. Right, now first let us define an object array. I'll show you why we will define an object array, but let us define first an object array of 2D. Object obj is equal to new object, and its parameters should be row count and 1. Right, now I have defined an object array. Let us close this. So once we got the sheet, we can close the workbook. Now we have defined an object array. Now what is our aim? our aim is to read the data from the Excel sheet into the map, then transfer that map data into the object array, and then return that object array by using this data provider method, so that it will return this object array, which can be accessed here by using map only, and we can retrieve the data which can be used in our test case, right? So the object array is defined. Now let us define a map. So how to define map? We define it by using map. I'll name it as a data map is equal to new hash map, right? And this map should be parameterized, so I will add parameters object. What is happening? Change to hash map. Okay, I'll add argument object comma object, so that we can store any type of data in it, right? Now we have created a map, right? But in this map, from where you need to store the data, we need to store the data from the Excel sheet, which can be accessed by using for loop, right? So we will iterate over rows and column. Int I is equal to 0, I is less than row count, right? Because we will be iterating over all rows I plus plus, right? Right, so we will iterate first on each row, row 1, row 2, row 3. Once you are entered into the row, then we need to go to each cell. So by using this, we will iterate on the row. Now for iterating on the cell, I need to add another for loop for int j is equal to 0, j is less than column count, right? And j plus plus. Now here I will read cell data, right? Data from each cell, right? Now where I need to define and use this map, so I should define this map over here, right? Or even I can define it on the top, because here I want to store the data into the map, right? Store read cell data and store in map, right? So how to do that, right? So I've shown you in this PPT. We can add the value to the map by using put method, put key and value, right? So how to do that? My data name is map name is data map, right? Dot I said you can put using put method, right? Now how to get the first thing will be key and second thing will be value, right? So in this Excel sheet, this is my key and this is my value, this is value, this is key, all these three value, this is key, this is values, right? So this key can be obtained if I get the value from 0th row, right? So how to get a value from 0th row? I know the sheet, so I'll get sheet. From the sheet I will get 0th row, get row 0, right? And I will get cell which will vary, right? Because from 0th row it can be cell 0, cell 1 and cell 2, right? But mandatorily it should be row 0, that is why hard-codedly I'll give it as a row 0, right? So this will get my key. Now how to get value? This is value, this is value, all these are values, right? So for value I should iterate over each row and each column. So how to do that? Again I will use sheet dot get row. I can give it as I dot get cell, cell should be my Z, right? Now, but since I am starting from 0, I is equal to 0, if I take I is equal to 0 in the value, it will get this only, right? So it will be like username is equal to username, that's useless, right? So it should be username is equal to user1, so it should start with 1. So here I should give as a I plus 1, because I am starting from I is equal to 0. If you are starting from I is equal to 1, then you can give simply I, right? Now I got the data into my data map. Now what I need to do is I have defined this object array over here, right? So I should use that object array, and in that object array, in column I and row 0, I will add this data from data map, right? Let me delete this comment. I hope you are clear. Now what we have done is we have defined an object array. Why? Because the data which we read into the map, we will store it in the object array. Why? Because the data provider method should return an object array, right? Should return an array, right? That can be string array, integer array, or object array, right? So that is why I have defined sorry, an object array, and in this object array I am storing my data map, right? So internally how it will be stored, it will read some value, it will read some value of this data map, which will be a value of okay, I'll show you it in paint. Okay, so what I have done is I have defined an object array of row count and 1, right? So my row count is, let us say my row count is 4, so I have 4 rows. Okay, my paint is not responding. I will show you it in Excel workbook. Let me try again. I have some issue with my paint, every time it hangs. Okay, fine. So I have created an array with 3 rows. This is row 1, row 2, and row 1, 2, 3. Let us say I have 4 data combinations, right? So my array is of how many dimension? It is of row count is, let us say 4 and 1, right? So it will be like this. So each of this part of the array in the first column, it will have some data from data map, right? And it will be in the form of keys and values. It will be in the form of keys and values, right? So for first row it will be here, then for second row it will be here, right? For second row, for third row it will be here, right? So that is how it will store, and finally it will return this 4 by 1 or 3 by 1, whatever your object array, to your this test case, right? So and finally what I'll return, I will return an object array, right? Because it should return an object array, and so I have stored my data map into ith position of this object array based on this iterator using for loop, right? Now I should access this object array by using map over here, map data, right? And I'll show you how we will get the value. String username is equal to, how to get the value, map data, the object which we have created, map data dot get username. Make sure that your key should match exactly with this user, U capital N capital username. This is the key. Then in the similar way, what it is saying, okay, it is an object, fine. So what I'll do, I'll directly print this. Okay, what I need to do is, I think I should convert it to string. Okay, not a problem. I will just print this. I'll just show you if we can get this right. So this will print an username, right? In the similar way, it will print password, and another statement will print your DOB. Right, so this particular set should print thrice, right? So I'll just have another print statement, test started, and I will have it as the end state ended, test ended, right? So here I've just got the value into the string format, but if you want to get a numeric value or alphanumeric value, or sorry, alphanumeric will be a string only, but if you want to get a numeric value or a boolean value, then you need to use cell dot get cell type, and then you need to get a particular cell value, like get numeric cell value, get boolean cell value, like that, right? So for example purpose, I am using a string value. Now let us run this. Now what will happen is, it will store the value from this Excel sheet like row by row, and then it will be passed to this particular test case using this data provider. Now you know, I have written only this one test case, right? But since I have three set of data combination, my test case should run 3 times, right? Now let us run this using TestNG test. Can you see total test run is number 3? That means our data provider is successful. Now let us say if the value is printed correctly. Okay, now can you see test case 1 is started, and test data for test case 1 is user1 password 1 dob1, which was in my first row, user1 password 1 dob1. For second test case it is user2 password 2 dob2. For second test case this one. For third test case this one, right? So you can see sorry, 3 test cases are passed, and the data to used in this 3 test cases is user1 password 1 and date of birth 1, right? So this is how we can use a map into a with a data provider in TestNG for data driven testing using Selenium WebDriver, right? So the advantage of this map in TestNG data provider over this object array or a 2D array is, in map you can access the value by using its key, right? In map you can access the value using key. This is how. And another thing is, if you are using a 2D array, I'll show you in my data driven testing example. So in my data driven testing I have used an object array only, but I have not used a map, right? So in the test case, is this a test case? No. Okay, so this is my test case, right? So in my test case I have written an object array only, but I have not used map, right? So what I need to do, I have to pass all the parameter which I have used, right? So in this case I have used 3 parameter, username, password and DOB, right? So if I was not using map, then here I should have used string username, string password and string or int whatever date of birth, right? In the similar way, let us say if I have some 10 to 20 combinations, 10 to 20 fields which I am using in my test case, right? So in that case I need to pass all the parameters, all the variables over here to the test case, right? But if I am using this map, then I wanted to pass only a map, and from that map I can access by using the key. So this is one of the big advantage of using map over this 2D array, Right. So okay, so that's it I have for this video, in which I talked about how to use map or hash map with TestNG data provider for data driven testing in Selenium WebDriver. So for more videos and article, do refer my blog automationtalks.com, and visit to my YouTube channel and do subscribe it. Thanks.